in your area. Okay, next up, members, we have two bills that I understand are controversial, okay? So we are going to hear them. They do play a vital role to our state. And even that statement I made may be controversial to some, okay? But with that, we are going to hear Representative Perez Vega's House File 1361 for the City of St. Paul and CHS Field. And I'm going to ask members to be respectful to the bill author and also to the testifiers as well, all right? Just remember, we're just hearing these bills, we're not voting on them. And with that, Representative Perez Vega, you may proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of this wonderful committee. I am surprised to hear that this is controversy, but it's one of my favorite songs by the great artist, the late legendary of Prince. So we'll take that as a memo for the record. I asked to move forward House File 1361, Madam Chair, members of this committee, and this is an appropriation of $8 million from the Bond Proceeds Fund to the Commissioner of Employment and Economic Development for a grant to the City of St. Paul relating to capital investment and authorizing the sale and issues of state bonds. Over the first 10 years of operation, CHS Field in Lowertown, St. Paul, home to our St. Paul Saints, AAA affiliate of the Minnesota Twins, has delivered on its promise to its public partners and honored the public investment in the facility with programming that provides affordable, family, fun entertainment, accessibility to meet the aspirations of youth and amateur sports in our state and region, and a community gathering place serving our region with non-sports programming year-round. Over 500,000 people visited CHS Field last year in the heart of our downtown's Lowertown community. The team has 100% responsibility for the management, operation, and maintenance of a facility owned by the City of St. Paul. To date, other than initial construction, no public funds have been dedicated or used with regard to maintenance and capital improvements on the ballpark. In 2021, the Saints bought the AAA Minor League Baseball, the highest level of affiliated minor league baseball, to the Twin Cities. The Twin Stars of the future make their final stop in St. Paul on the way to Major League Baseball at Target Field. I have been able to witness the expansion of what the Saints have been able to do in the capital city that I love and represent here, sitting in District 65B, since I was a young kid. Puerto Ricans, we grow up as baseball fans with the humanitarian efforts and great excellence of the Hall of Famer Roberto Clemente. And with aspiring those commitments to humanitarian efforts, both the organizations between the Saints as well as the Twins are committed to children. I remember being a junior high and high school student in Frogtown community into Midway with St. Agnes, and we didn't have a baseball field for our team. We didn't have a football field for our team, but the St. Paul Saints stood up and they made and provided that. They're continuing to do those efforts with this amazing ballpark that needs improvement to serve with environmental justice and also including to maintain our businesses who are supportive of this in the Lowertown District of 65B. With that, I want to speed it up because like you said, we're big chatty, me and you, my tocaya, as we say, Mary Maria, Chair. But I want to pass it over to the great co-ownership of Tom Whaley of the St. Paul Saints here. Thank you.
Thank you, and I love your enthusiasm for your city. Mr. Whaley, you may proceed. State your name for the record.
Yes, my name's Tom Whaley. I'm the Executive Vice President of the St. Paul Saints Baseball Club. As a matter of housekeeping, if I could direct comments to the young lady to your immediate left, if you could refrain from telling my wife about those red cards you're holding up, I would greatly appreciate it. She doesn't need any bright ideas. Thank you. I know, you're just
We aim to give ideas to wives out there.
Oh, boy, I don't know about that. Okay. But thank you, Representative Perez Vega. Just to expound a little bit on the improvements, I think it's important, the backdrop and the context to this is the good news in 2021, the Saints were able to affiliate with the Minnesota Twins. We operated for over 25 years as an independent team, real successfully at Midway Stadium, as the representative pointed out, and then in 2015 opened CHS Field. CHS Field is a public-private partnership between the state of Minnesota, the city of St. Paul, the Saints Baseball Club, and Hamline University. It's been a public-private partnership that's worked incredibly well. It's brought vibrancy to Lowertown, and we've done it in a way that we feel is responsible and and merits your consideration of this bill going forward. What we're really doing is continuing that for several more years. So we appreciate that. I mentioned in 2021, Major League Baseball changed its minor league structure, reducing the number of teams from 160 around the country to 120. While that was unfortunate for many communities, it did result in St. Paul and the Twins deciding to operate their AAA team. Our fans love it. It's been a wonderful boon to the city. It's added more events to St. Paul's roster of events. What came with that was a requirement among Major League Baseball to have certain facility standards. Most of those facility standards deal with players' health, safety, and welfare. The players now make more money than they ever have before. They receive housing allowances, they receive more meal money, but also as part of that, facilities are required to upgrade. To date, we have spent, in addition to the operation and maintenance, we've invested $4 million of our own money into the facility which the city owns. $2 million of that went toward, just to sort of get over the hump in 2021, to meet Major League standards. And while we were okay in 2021, we're not going to be okay long term, and that's much of the basis of this request. So I think it's also important to note there's context. Since 2021, communities around America, facilities and improvements totaling $2.3 billion have been made to keep these affiliations current. And we're fortunate in St. Paul. We've invested 2 so far. If we're fortunate to receive another 8 to go toward those, we will be on the very low end of that spectrum in terms of where, what communities are spending to keep their affiliations current. Our bottom line is our visiting player facilities are deficient. The players, when they come to town, they love playing in St. Paul. The ballpark's full. It's very exciting. But when they come to the park, they're stretching and working out in a corridor before the game where concessions folks are going. We're trying to run our promotions. They're in stairwells trying to do it. They travel with groups of probably 40 to 50 players and coaches. And their commissary probably comfortably accommodates 12 to 15 people, so players are having to take their meals and eat at their lockers, different things like that. We get a lot of complaints from the visiting teams on the facilities. They complain to Major League Baseball. We have been trying to make the best of it. I feel we are making the best of the situation, but long-term, it's not a sustainable situation. And the improvements, I won't go into gritty detail. I believe you all have the handouts. Those are explain what we're going to do to augment the visiting players' facilities. And that will include locker rooms, including facilities for female coaches, and we hope one day players, a training room, a commissary for them, equipment storage, weights and stretching area. None of that exists right now. So I will conclude my remarks now, and will note, if it's okay, that the red card was not raised, and I appreciate that.
Mr. Whaley, is there a reason why, so this is, the facility is about or will be 10 years old, correct?
Correct.
Is there a reason why it was not built to the standards that you're looking for now? Or were you not envisioning?
Well, I think one of the smartest things, okay, I got 2 minutes. I can do this. What's really important, we put a lot of foresight at the direction of the city of St. Paul. We designed it was designed in 2013 and 14. It was designed to then current Major League standards. We were not a Major League affiliated team at that point. We just felt it was the smart thing to do. The bottom line is, having done that, it did result in a much lower level of investment to get it, sort of over that initial hump. So, but the standards did change in 2021 regarding players' health, safety, and welfare, and so we're dealing with those now.
Okay, thank you. Representative Carroll.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Representative, for bringing this. I know your passion for St. Paul. I didn't understand the passion for baseball. I know you're a star player at St. Agnes and would be reffed by Representative Hewitt. Is that correct?
Representative Perez Vega.
Madam Chair, thank you. Representative Carroll, I was actually a basketball star, but I did attend to take the stats for our baseball players and also had all-star cousins that played on that team through scholarships.
Great. And Chair?
So
Representative Carroll.
understated.
So I'm a little surprised that, this is to your testifier, that you would want to improve the experience for the visiting team. I think you'd want a competitive advantage. I'm from Iowa.
Okay.
The University of Iowa has pink locker rooms for the players in the football stadium. And the reason is the former coach, Hayden Fry, was a psychology major. I think he had an advanced degree in it. And he found that pink is a calming influence on players, and so he thought he could get a competitive advantage. Why don't you want to take advantage of what you have now? And
A nice lighthearted question to you, Mr. Whaley.
I'm good. Representative, thank you for that question. By moving the visiting players' facilities, we will create a little more room, and we feel an advantage for us. And I think we would find room in the budget to paint the visiting players' facilities pink.
All right, members, we're going to just speed up questions here real quick with Representative Reimer, then Allen, then Hanson, followed up by Representative Lee.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you both for bringing this to the committee today. My question is for Mr. Whaley, and sorry if I missed this in the presentation. When we look at the info sheet that you did as a handout, the different sources for funding of the 6 million total, obviously we have the bonding request here today of 8 million. We have the City of St. Paul and we have the team. Have you gotten any commitments, verbal or otherwise, from the City of St. Paul or team ownership for this project yet?
At
Mr.
this
Wiley,
time-
you have to go through the chair first.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Madam Chair, Representative, thank you. At this time, no, we have not. The team is committed, but we've had preliminary conversations with the City of St. Paul. They're obviously engaged in several other bonding projects, but we will have a plan together. And again, I would refer back to the initial partnership that we have with the state and the city. Our intention is to continue that partnership, and what we come up with regard to this particular project would be consistent with that.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, Representative Allen?
Thank you, Madam Chair. To the testifier, thanks for being here today. Asking the same question we ask everybody, is this project feasible by any chance?
Mr. Wiley?
Yes, Madam Chair and Representative, it's a difficult project to phase because it's both improvements that we're referring to in the materials would be located in the very same vicinity of the ballpark. A challenge we have is that we're hemmed in on four sides. To the north, we have I-94. We're pretty sure that's not going anywhere. To the east, we have the Lafayette Bridge that goes over the Mississippi River. That's not going anywhere. We share a wall to the south with the operation and maintenance facility with the light rail. That's not going anywhere. And I guess we could move Broadway in the farmers market, but farmers and the city would be a little upset with us, so we're not going to do that. But in regard to the phasing, what it would require is we could do one improvement. If we were to come back later and do another, we would necessarily have to impact the work we just done to do the other. So it is from a financial and also a project-related perspective, that's a very difficult proposition for us. It's a tight area.
Very tight. Representative Hanson, then we're going to go to Lily, and then Representative Lee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And looking at your overall operation, and maybe you don't have these numbers for us now, but what are your costs for utilities? What are your costs for water? And does your plan for renovation deal with reducing those anyway? And then also, you know, there's been this ongoing debate between artificial turf and grass and back and forth. You know, we've seen recently some reports about artificial turf having an impact of cancer on some of the players in other locations. So maybe if you could give us a little bit on cost and what you're looking to build into the improvements.
Mr. Wiley?
Okay. Madam Chair, Representative, thank you for the question. Yes, with regard, the ballpark has several sustainability features right now that were built into it in 2015. One is a 100-kilowatt solar array that produces about 20% of our electricity, which comes directly into the building. It doesn't go out to the grid. With regard to water, we have a water reuse and reuse facility basically that takes rainwater off the operation and maintenance facility roof, brings it into the ballpark where we clean it up and we're able to use it to irrigate the field and also flush toilets that are in a certain building. So yes, we anticipate increased utility costs with these improvements, but we're prepared. As we mentioned before, we have 100% responsibility for that and we're prepared to meet those obligations. With regard to your question about the turf, my former partner and co-owner, Mike Beck, was asked at the time, turf was brought in from Iowa to build Target Field, and a representative asked my partner, Mr. Beck, who was raised in the 60s, what his thoughts were about grass, and he said, I'm a child of the 60s, and I'm from the Just Say Yes generation. And I won't do that today, but we have no intention. We will be using natural turf going forward.
Thank you. Representative Lilly, quick question.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and Representative, thank you for bringing this. I eagerly signed onto this bill because I think it's a great project. I've been a fan of your product all the way back to the Midway and with the trains going by, and those are fun times too in a different way. But I just want to throw out there, just the others, it hasn't really come up today, how you're really good community partners and all the other events that go on at the facility. And you kind of mentioned it in your introduction, but it's really neat that you do that. And I'm a big fan of it's a variety of events, but then even we go pretty much every Saturday or every other Saturday to the farmer's market. And I notice you're even offering your patio for I'm like, what's going on over there? And you're doing you offered it for yoga or something. It was just all sorts of interesting things going on. But just a final comment, when Louis Varlin comes through, don't keep him, send him back up. So, local kid, so we want to see him not at your field as much.
All right. Madam Chair, Representative, thank you very much for that. We live by the motto that a community does not need a ballpark, but a ballpark desperately needs its community, and we get up every morning knowing that. And so that's our response is to do whatever we can. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair Lee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. Whaley, for being here. So just following up on Chair Franson's question earlier, so knowing that you're asking for this because of the standards of MLB, so the first question is, do they provide any type of assistance to ballparks like yourself to upgrade to their standard? And then the second piece will be, what is there to ensure the public that MLB 5-10 years down the line won't improve those standards so that we, the public, will have to pay for that again?
Mr. Wiley.
Chair Franzen, Representative, thank you very much for that question. The first question was with regard to I'm sorry, I was focusing on the second was.
Basically, how do we know that the MLB will not come later and want you to renew the standards, and then we're going to have to dish out more money?
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Chair. With regard to that question, there's no guarantee on that. We expect over time that the facility requirements there will be more of them. And what we are trying to do here is go a little bit beyond where they are right now to future-proof us, hopefully for the next 15 to 20 years.
Chair Lee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And so the first question kind of ties to this piece too, then, knowing that, whenever they have these different requirements, what type of assistance do they provide? And I think this ties to Representative Reimer's question first around the team and the others piece. Does MLB have anything to provide assistance to the team and to the taxpayer who are being asked to pay for this?
Mr. Wiley.
Madam Chair, Representative, currently they do not assist with facility standards. Those are the responsibility of the team, and in some cases, it's a major league affiliate.
It's like the MPCA putting down standards, and then they don't help us with the standards. We just have to pay the bill. Exactly. Well, Representative Perez-Vega, I'll give you the final words, but I also think that maybe we need a bonding team building event when the games start.
I concur, Madam Chair, and I offered that to both chairs that I'm willing to welcome you to our great Saint Stadium. I don't want to take too much time, but I do want to thank my colleagues on both sides of the aisle who have addressed the support, who have addressed the commitment to empowering our Lowertown district, not only the Saints, but our residents. My constituents are in deep need. Our housing, as well as our businesses that said, hit the ball out the park with Tom Whaley on this one because we support you. So appreciation on that. Let's make our stadium safe. Thank you.
Sounds great. Thank you for presenting today. Thank you for coming down to the Capitol, Mr. Wiley. All right, next up, we are going to hear from the Xcel Arena regarding their complex renovations. Should be very exciting in here for about 20 minutes. So if you want to make your way down to the testifying table. Okay. Okay. Mayor Carter, I believe you are going to start the presentation off.
Yes, please.
Welcome to the committee. And again, happy birthday to your daughter.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I will share
All
that.
month long, Mayor Carter.
That's right. I appreciate that. Good morning, Co-Chair Franson, Co-Chair Lee, and members of the House Capital Investment Committee. I want to thank you for your invitation today. I'm Melvin Carter, a proud mayor of the city of St. Paul, the capital city of the state of hockey, and appreciate the opportunity to connect with you today about our proposed renovation of the Xcel Energy Center area complex. This complex is a center of social and economic activity for our city and for our state. Together, the Xcel Energy Center Arena, St. Paul, RiverCentre, and Roy Wilkins Auditorium attract over 2.1 million visitors per year to our city. Infuse nearly $400 million annually into our local economy, and drive business, jobs, tourism, and vitality through our community and our entire region. Just as exciting, the arena complex will be on the global stage later this year when we host the International Ice Hockey Federation's 2026 World Junior Hockey Championships. Big things are happening, but with this city-owned 25-year-old facility nearing the end of its competitive lifespan, our momentum requires action. The arena complex must be modernized to stay competitive, not just with other NHL arenas and entertainment venues, but within our own market. This project is about reimagining and expanding the entire complex as anchor of a vibrant entertainment district that attracts even more world-class events while fueling the kind of activity, energy, and growth that subsets housing opportunity, public safety, and economic development. When there's a hockey game or concert or other types of major event taking place in the complex, we all know it. The impact is large. Visitors and residents book our hotels, dine in our bars and restaurants, shop locally, and experience all that our city has to offer. This project is about maximizing and continuing those impacts. It's also connected to the revitalization of our downtown and strengthening public safety goals in general. Right now, people are voting with their feet on our downtown, and our most pressing task now is to create the type of infrastructure that keeps them downtown. We know that when public spaces are maintained and invested in, people use them. We know that enhancing infrastructure and improving accessibility creates a more welcoming environment for residents and visitors alike, and we know that the power of people creates a community. Madam Chair, representatives, I recognize the face value paradox of making an argument for an arena renovation among communities arguing for critical needs like water and flood management solutions. Fortunately, as we're seeking appropriation bonding, the resources we seek do not have to compete for those scarce general obligation bonds that those projects are seeking. Moreover, as this investment would not only secure the continuity of the Xcel Energy Center complex's current $383 million annual economic impact, but also serve to increase that annual economic impact by over $100 million a year. That's critical revenue that would ultimately expand our statewide capacity to meet the types of critical needs that you're hearing today over the next 30 years. This vision to reimagine the future of our city and our region is bold, ambitious, and necessary. We're creating a city anchor where people want to be a hub of energy, business, and community that reverberates beyond our borders. A renovated, modernized Xcel Energy Center Arena Complex is the catalyst that makes all of this possible. I thank you for your time, and I'm joined by Craig Leopold, owner of the Minnesota Wild.
All right, Mr. Leopold, I'm going to give you a max of 4 minutes. We have about 17 minutes left in the committee. That includes member questions and comments, okay?
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Please state your name for the record and proceed.
My name is Craig Leopold. I am the owner of the Minnesota Wild, very proud owner. I'm also the owner of the Minnesota Sports and Entertainment Company. We've had the privilege of managing the arena as well as the St. Paul RiverCentre, Roy Wilkins Auditorium, and other conference and event spaces within the complex since day one. 25 years and a global pandemic later, Xcel Energy Center is now at the end of its intended lifespan. The arena, as well as the 93-year-old Roy Wilkins Auditorium and the RiverCentre, now require significant renovations to stay competitive in our local market and with other venues nationwide. Over the last few years, we've visited arenas and downtowns across the country, seeing firsthand how similar investments have literally transformed communities. We know that we can use these incredible public assets for so much more, and that's what this is all about. We've conducted a market feasibility study and venue assessment and have been working with an internationally renowned company that's been behind similar exciting investments, from US Bank Stadium to the Edmonton Ice District. We're excited about what this opportunity could mean for our hometown. The Minnesota Wild are deeply, deeply rooted in St. Paul. We love the city, and we take great pride in calling it home. I myself have been a proud downtown St. Paul resident for 16 years now. Like many of you, I know how the energy in this city shifts when there's a concert or a game going on at the X. Downtown becomes full of life, and the sidewalks feel safer and more vibrant. It's St. Paul at its best. Our team in this arena drive hundreds of millions of dollars into the local economy, supporting thousands of jobs and bringing millions of visitors to our city. This is the vital economic engine driving St. Paul. It's hard to imagine the city without it. This is our chance to reimagine St. Paul as a city that's not just part of the future, but a city that defines the future. I'm personally invested in this project because I love St. Paul, and I truly believe this is our best shot at positioning the city for the future. Other cities around the nation are making these investments. If we hope to have a thriving, vibrant capital city for years to come, we have to do this now. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Did you have any other testifiers that wanted to testify real quick? Yes?
Yes.
Please make your way up. We are limited on time.
Okay.
And if there's anyone else after this testifier, please come up to the testifying table. Please state your name for the record. Welcome to the committee.
Hello, everyone. My name is Josie Skoogman, and I'm a senior at Hill Murray School. I'm a St. Paul native, a two-time All-State hockey player, and a recent Minnesota State girls hockey champion. In my high school career, I've had the honor of competing at the state hockey tournament at the Xcel Energy Center 2 years in a row. Whether you're a high school or professional athlete, this venue is the pinnacle of our sport. We all know Minnesota is the state of hockey, but weeks like the state tournament are a great reminder as to why this is. We are the state of hockey because of the indescribable feeling that I get coming to downtown St. Paul and creating lasting memories, staying in the hotel with my teammates, taking in the competitive environment, and walking around downtown or the X. We are the state of hockey because we know how this sport brings people together. Having an incredible venue like the X to welcome crowds, including my family, friends, neighbors, and classmates, brings everyone closer. Now more than ever, having a space where we can all get together, enjoy sports and concerts we live for goes a long way. We are the state of hockey because we know what placing girls' hockey on the biggest stage does for the sport, and we give it the attention it deserves. Women's hockey is often overlooked and overshadowed across the country, but not in Minnesota. I still remember walking to the X for the first time as a junior, feeling the energy and excitement of playing on the same ice as the Minnesota Wild and Frost. Playing on the stage is special, not just because of what teams can achieve there, but because we all know what an incredible opportunity it is to inspire younger girls and show them that this is their stage too. We are the state of hockey because my younger sister can see me and my teammates on the same ice as hockey icons from around the world and decide she's going to start playing hockey herself. I've been lucky to experience some of the happiest moments of my life at the Xcel Energy Center. It's hard to imagine Minnesota hockey without this arena in downtown St. Paul. Take a moment to picture it. We are the state of hockey because Minnesota does it like nobody else. Right now, we have the opportunity to guarantee these remarkable moments we share at the X can carry on for generations. Next season, I will be staying close to home and playing hockey at the University of St. Thomas, where my goal is to help the Tommies compete for a national championship. But no matter where my hockey journey takes me, my experience at the X will always hold a special place in my heart. By investing in renovations to the entire arena complex, we are making a promise to my little sister and young athletes from around the state that the opportunity to compete and experience the culture of the Xcel Energy Center will still be around for them. That is something worth investing in. Thank you, and thank you for the opportunity to testify for you today.
Thank you, Ms. Skogman. That was great. Please state your name for the record, and you may proceed real quick.
Good morning. Hello, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Bea Kyle. I'm the President and CEO of the St. Paul Area Chamber. So we represent 1,900-plus members largely within Ramsey, Dakota, and Washington counties. And I am honored to offer our voice and support in the efforts for this investment. And I look at this from an economic perspective. I travel the country and look at peer cities and work with chambers and businesses, and I can't share enough the economic impact that this kind of investment has made in other cities. And I want to highlight, too, how these big capital investments show up across the region in Minneapolis and in St. Paul, and encourage you to invest in your capital city, our capital city, that what impacts us in St. Paul impacts us as a state and how we show up nationally and internationally. Just can't emphasize that enough. And then in numbers, when we're looking at an additional $100+ million each year in tax revenue and spending that happens in the city, that translates to a 20% growth for us in terms of revenue. And for context, this couldn't be more important in terms of what we're experiencing now in the real estate market and the opportunity to invest in the property today. So to keep it short, I want to say thank you for the opportunity, and I look forward to hearing from you if you have any questions.
Thank you. If you want to state your name for the record?
Bea Kyle.
No.
Oh, excuse me. Sorry.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. My name is Tom Dicklich. I'm the Executive Director of the Minnesota State Building and Construction Trades Council. I'm here on behalf of 70,000 women and men working in the trades across the state. I'm here today to express our strong support for the renovation funding package for the Xcel Energy Center, the St. Paul RiverCentre, and the Wilkins Auditorium. This $800 million project is more than just a renovation. It's a commitment to the future of St. Paul. These facilities have been anchors in our state for decades, hosting everything from world-class sporting events and concerts to community and business gatherings. But as you know, the competitive landscape has changed, and these venues are at risk and falling behind. This investment is a critical step toward keeping St. Paul vibrant, attracting visitors, and ensuring our capital city remains a destination for entertainment, tourism, and economic growth. A key component of this project is the project labor agreement that will govern both the construction and long-term maintenance of these facilities. That means 2,300 skilled union construction workers will be on site, men and women trained in the safest and most efficient building techniques, ensuring that this complex is built to last. And beyond construction, the workers who maintain these facilities will be paid family-sustaining wages and strong benefits, strengthening our workforce and supporting middle-class families in the region. The Xcel Energy Center was originally built in 1999, and while the arena has outlived its competitive prime, its structural integrity remains strong. That is a testament to the quality craftsmanship of the union tradespeople who built it in the first place. Now with this investment, our members are ready to once again deliver a world-class facility that will serve St. Paul and Minnesota for generations to come. This project is about more than just an arena. It has the potential to jumpstart an additional economic development downtown, a strong, thriving entertainment district, and fuels local businesses, restaurants, hotels, and shops, and makes St. Paul a more attractive place to live, work, and invest. When we believe this is the right investment at the right time. It puts skilled tradespeople to work, ensures quality jobs in the long term, and positions St. Paul for a brighter economic future. On behalf of the Minnesota Building and Construction Trades, I urge your support for this critical funding package. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dicklich. There was some mood lighting that took place. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but it got a little bit more romantic in this room. I'm going to have Mr. Andrew Lee come up real quick to explain the difference between general obligation bonds and general appropriation bonds. Mr. Lee, if you want to state your name for the record and proceed with your explanation here. Thank you.
Madam Chair, Andrew Lee from House Fiscal Staff. General obligation bonds are backed by the full faith and credit of the state and have restrictions on uses. They have to be publicly owned, they have to be capital in nature, and they have to be authorized by 3/5 of both chambers of the legislature. Appropriation bonds have evolved over the early 2000s as having a wider portfolio of potential uses. They don't require the 3/5 authorization requirement. They can be of different bond terms, and the uses can be different. So some past examples of appropriation bond authorizations have been the Viking Stadium in Minneapolis, the buildings along the Capitol complex, SWIFT certificates of participation, which was the state computer or accounting system, and appropriation bonds. The principal amount applies to the first two state management guidelines, but does not apply to the third debt management guideline. Because they are not GO debt and that the full faith and credit of the state is not pledged to them, they have the potential to have a higher interest rate than GO debt.
Okay, thank you. Members, do you have any questions regarding the explanation? Representative Hansen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. What is the proposed revenue source for these appropriation bonds?
Do we have anybody that has that information? Mayor Carter?
I believe we're flexible where that's concerned. I think we are working to generate some concepts where that's concerned, but wanted to present to you what the broader idea today.
And I do believe, Representative Hansen, there has been chatting taking place with the tax chairs on that particular issue. All right, Representative Fogelman?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I might be the biggest Wild fan here in the room today, but this is exciting for me. Unfortunately, this is a huge ask for the state of Minnesota, especially with the economy the way it is right now. When you were looking at the changes that needed to be made in the facility, I was told that you did some extensive surveys with like your season ticket holders and those kind of things. You asked them about the proposed changes and the enhanced services during the games. What were the results of those surveys, and how many season ticket holders were not supportive of the changes that you were wanting to make to the arena?
Mr. Leopold?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair and Representative. Whenever we do any kind of polling with our fans, it's historically very high return. So we got a lot of people who give their opinions. What came out loud and clear is that our fans were looking for more options to view the team, for food and beverage, more concession options. There were issues with the lines in the restrooms, our food and beverage. The kitchens were in the wrong places, so food is coming out cold. The response that we had was very much in favor of making these concessions and the investment that would occur in this arena. They were very supportive of it.
All right, thank you. Representative Scrappa, real quick, we're running out of time.
Shoot, as I've spoken to everyone here, I'm fairly supportive of what's going on. How we get to that dollar amount is going to be the challenge. But one of the things that came up after we were all talking and everything started making me wonder, when you build a new facility, it's always like, everyone's just like, hey, this is awesome, beautiful. Do the prices of the goods go up? Are the beer prices, the food prices, that sort of stuff, are they going to be staying open? Because if we put a substantial amount of dollars in, it'd be somewhat trying to buy that down. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you for that question.
Mr.
Chair.
Leopold?
Yep. Chair Franson, thank you, Representative. We are not planning to raise food and beverage prices. Some ticket prices will certainly be either gone up. Some, frankly, will go down. What we're looking at doing in the arena is creating more community space. That's one of the things that came back, is that people have seen other facilities and been in them, and they want to see areas that people can congregate and watch the game together.
So we're excited about doing that. That is typically a lower price. So we are, the types of ways of watching the game will change. We have 74 suites right now. We'll probably have only 50. And that will create more opportunities for us to have different ways that fans can buy tickets and watch and view the game, not being in a corporate suite.
All right, thank you. And Representative Perez Vega.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you. It's nice to see you, Craig. I enjoy our conversations in my first term.
Yes.
And wanting to get these numbers then and trying to see how we could be supportive of these initiatives. And as the chair of the delegation of our Capitolio of St. Paul, there's a draw of concerns from my constituents that I've spoken about, as well as my delegation members' constituents when we talk about the appropriation funds, that would be a reliance of raising taxes. Our city is at the highest in the state, and we hear that all the time. And I would hate to go back to saying that the reliance of $400 million would mean $20 million per year. Also, with the conditions of federal funds being frozen, and we've talked a lot about the infrastructure from our greater Minnesota right here into our cap city, is we're scared of the results of what was expressed to us in the federal government earlier this week on the potential of those grants, such as the $25 million for the Robert Street Viaduct not being accessible anymore, and that they were going to rely on efforts from our state to be a part of that project. So when we're looking at the numbers of $394 million, which was the adjustment, it's okay. He's singing. Don't quiet him, say, Sean. He's feeling this sense on the Minneapolis side too. But these are the conversations that my constituents are concerned about. I understand that you've said, and we've had those conversations about how community can be impacted. And I remember when the Xcel was built and being in junior high and taking the bus and getting rides to Frogtown and seeing the construction from the Civic Center being knocked down and the promises of that this was going to help all Minnesota and particularly our communities of St. Paul. Well, this is the front yard of my community. And I have not seen that help. When you have the businesses that have been there for 25 years, like the Black Dog that closed down in Lowertown due to the COVID crisis. I have not seen the accessible efforts for the redevelopment of housing in the aftermath of the delinquency of Madison equities. And so when we're talking about how, and we talked about affordable housing, and when you said, what does that even mean? Okay, so what it means is we have a delinquency of buildings that are across the street or down the block, across the street from City Hall, the city annex, that are being condemned. And our homelessness crisis leaks right here to our Capitol steps. And so when we're talking about $394 million, I have to address, Madam Chair, what my constituents concerned, what my colleagues concerned about. We don't have that budget. We're trying to make things work, and we are determined together to make a budget work. And so I understand that there was a talk about there's controversy with two bills. Madam Chair, this isn't a bill. And there's a reason why, because we have been asking for these questions to be delivered and in my hand. And this is the first time that I've actually had a print of this plan. And this is in my district. And I want to work. I love Xcel Energy. I took my mom to see Mary J. Blige Sunday. I seen Billie Eilish. I pay for all my tickets. I am the most person qualified to talk about arenas because I performed at arenas and Xcel in my work as an entertainment artist. I've spoken with assemblymen from New York to talk about how the state supports Madison Square Garden, assembly folks and representatives of the legislature of Illinois to talk about the United Center and the ports of geofunds to the city of Chicago. And they're a little concerned if this was their arena, and this is how we're asking funds in a crucial, critical time of what our federal government is freezing. We're talking about water here. We're talking about bridges. I announced a bridge, a viaduct, that we celebrated that support with that grant with Betty, our Congresswoman of CD4, Betty McCollum, with the support of our city who came to ask me to be supportive. I am. My students of the District of 65B take a bus in that Kremlin. And with their environmental issues, with climate change that is so led in that advocacy of Representative Hansen has drawn to the concern of crumbling Wabasha caves to these bridges, I want to say that if this is the #1 priority for my city that I love, that I defend, and that I am a child of, and am raising a little girl right across the Xcel who loves frozen on ice, I don't want to raise taxes for my people, for our people. I don't want that to be the continuance of how we are going to redevelop a St. Paul that was shining when I was younger. I want to talk off the record more, and I would appreciate those discussions with you and I. Mr. Leopold, muchas gracias.
All right, thank you, Mayor Carter. And I want to thank you before you leave for hosting our committee a couple months ago to tour the facility. So thank you for that.
Madam Chair, Representative, thank you so much for that. We enjoyed the members who were able to join us for that tour. Representative, I believe that's a very strong case that you just made for why reinvesting in our downtown and making critical investments is so urgent for us. As you know well, our constituents in St. Paul are concerned about increased property taxes that are occurring from a whiplash effect due primarily to loss of value in downtown. As downtowns across the country face enormous headwinds that are particularly exacerbated, as you acknowledged, by the sudden passing of our largest property owner downtown. The need to reinvest, the need to make bold moves is very critical for the future of our state, certainly for the future of our city, and for the goal of controlling and stabilizing property taxes for those exact same constituents that you just named. We'll look forward to continue to work with you toward all of those goals. Having the Xcel Energy Center as a critical centerpiece can help us be able to generate the types of economic and social activity that can help to drive the type of vibrancy that you're talking about. And on the worst case scenario, losing the impact that we currently have would of course be devastating for all of those goals that you just described. So we look forward to working with you and every member of the committee on those and other goals.
Representative Perez-Vega, and then we're going to go quickly to Representative Zhang, and then Chair Lee will ask the final question and then gavel us out.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Mr. Mayor, thank you for your comments. You know, if this is the #1 priority of the city, and this is in my district, okay? And we're coming to the state, and we talk about how much money goes into a Taj Mahal, and I wasn't here around then because I had some things to say about that, right? I'd like to see more effort, if this is your #1 priority, to deliver this information to my office and to my delegation members who have been asking for quite a bit. And with that, I have no further questions, and I would like my former delegation member to speak. Thank you.
Representative Zhang.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Representative Perez-Vega. You asked a lot of questions I had already, but I guess I just have a different question. A question that normally will come from Chair Hansen. On sustainability practices, what environmental considerations are being incorporated into this renovation plan and to ensure that the complex meets the modern environmental standards? If you can answer, or if your staff can send it to my office, I would really appreciate it.
That sounds like it might be a staff issue, but Mayor Carter, go ahead.
Madam Chair, Representative Perez-Vega, just for clarification, the #1 priority of our city is always public safety. That will never change. We're very proud of the outcomes that we're achieving right now and some of the national press that we're getting as far as the outcomes that we're receiving around public safety. The most urgent priority for our city right now is revitalization of downtown, and one of our biggest opportunities that we have, one of our most pressing needs / biggest opportunities we have is the revitalization of the Xcel Energy Center. I'll ask Mr. Leopold to speak to some of the environmental impacts of the stadium construction.
Madam Chair, Representative, I wish I had the awards that we have received in this area, sustainability. I don't have them with me, but when it comes to the NHL, we have received the most awards of any NHL arena for sustainability and green efforts. So I will get that information to your staff, and we're very proud of it. I wish I had it with me, but I think you'll be excited when you see it.
Just quickly, my question
Representative Zhang, please remember to go through the chair.
Yep, sorry, I apologize. So my question is, how is that going to be put into consideration in the renovation plan?
Yeah.
So if your staff can just send that to me, because we don't have time right now, but I would really appreciate it.
Okay. Chair Lee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, so just some quick closing comments before we close it out. So just going back to, Mayor, I really appreciate the presentation. And I like I said to a lot of communities that come before us to ask us for consideration for funding, it's not the merit of the actual project itself, but how do we make sure that our budget works? And, what we have to hear today, I'm glad to know that, you're looking at appropriation bonds, but to some of the other points, we don't have language, and so we don't know how it's going to work. And so, what I have shared with the committee and, left outside for the public is that when we look at appropriation bonds, members, we have to have additional cash above the base to pay for the debt service. And whether that's the state of Minnesota or the city of St. Paul, that's to be determined. We don't know because we don't have a bill in front of us. And just to remind, all of us is that a lot of, conversation that we've been having is that there's no cash for any capital investment bill. And so, the information in front of you, from MMB, from Mr. Andrew Lee, is that if we were to bond for appropriations bonds of $394 million, that's going to be $32 million above the base. And so that's, for you to consider. And, when we have such, high needs across the state for infrastructure, that means that, quite possibly, if we were to go that route, we could consider doing appropriation bonds, $400 million to add on top of the $700 million that we have to have a $1.1 billion bonding bill. And so, I just want to, let you, that sink in for all of you, because right now we have the decisions to make. Do we put forth the dollars, the general fund dollars to pay for the debt service for this one project, or do we look at the entire state of Minnesota and all the great needs that we have? And I just want to, have us think through, in capital investment over the last 6 years that I've been involved in the committee, we have only had 2 bonding bills out of 6 years. And, there are some talks that we might not even have a bonding bill this year. And so, if this proposal is to move forward, and they secure funding for the $394 million, for all the other projects out there that requires a supermajority vote, how are we going to go back to our communities and talk about how we were not able to fund some of these critical projects in our community? And so, just wanted to, put that out there for all of us as we consider this. And we know that there's another proposal using appropriation bonds for one of our other stadiums that's, across the river in my Senate district in my city too. And so I will hope that we can have this conversation when we revisit that too, Madam Chair, that, is this the right time for us to look at appropriation bonds when we don't have the general fund to pay for some of these debt service? And, asking our local community to pay for it through a local option sales tax or whatnot, is that the right choice too or not? And so I would just end at that, Madam Chair, and really appreciate the time. And, we are over our time limit now. And so with no further business before us, we are adjourned.